The Pittsburgh Steelers have been patiently waiting, alongside the New York Giants, for Aaron Rodgers to make his decision on which team he'll play for next season. However, a new report from The Athletic has thrown a major curveball into the equation, potentially leaving the Steelers in a very precarious situation. According to this latest report, Aaron Rodgers might not end up playing for either the Steelers or the Giants. Instead, the report suggests that Rodgers is primarily waiting to see if he receives an offer from the Minnesota Vikings, a possibility that has been previously discussed. While initial reports hinted that the Vikings might have an offer on the table, this new information indicates that Minnesota is still not interested in acquiring Rodgers' services. Here's the shocking twist: if the Minnesota Vikings do not come forward with an offer, the report suggests that Aaron Rodgers might simply choose to retire from the NFL altogether, rather than suit up for either Pittsburgh or New York. Given Rodgers' somewhat unpredictable nature throughout his career, this scenario, while surprising, might not be entirely out of the realm of possibility. If Rodgers does decide to hang up his cleats, it would undoubtedly leave the Pittsburgh Steelers in a significant bind regarding their quarterback situation heading into the upcoming season. So, what would the Steelers do if they suddenly find themselves without Aaron Rodgers? The report briefly touches on some potential options. Would they revisit the possibility of signing Russell Wilson, whom they hosted for a visit recently? Could they look at another veteran quarterback option, perhaps someone like Carson Wentz? Or might the Steelers decide to completely shift their focus and go all in on drafting a rookie quarterback in the 2025 NFL Draft? The uncertainty surrounding Aaron Rodgers' decision is clearly having a ripple effect across the league, and the Pittsburgh Steelers could be one of the teams most significantly impacted by his final choice, or lack thereof, if he chooses to retire. This developing story will undoubtedly continue to be a major focus as the NFL offseason progresses. There's some happy news to report in the NFL world. Cleveland Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson is officially engaged to his longtime girlfriend, Jilly Anais. The couple shared the exciting news in a joint Instagram post on Sunday, with the caption, "Mrs. Watson loading," alongside a picture of Anais showing off a stunning diamond ring while being embraced by Watson. Watson himself commented on the post with "more glory," followed by a prayer emoji. Clearly thrilled about this new chapter in their relationship, Deshaun and Jilly have been together since 2019, having first met in Los Angeles. Both are 29 years old. Jilly Anais is a multi-talented individual with a significant social media presence of nearly 2.5 million followers. She's a singer, actress, and even a cookbook author. Their relationship has weathered some significant storms, notably the accusations of sexual assault and harassment made against Watson by more than 24 women during his time with the Houston Texans in 2021 and 2022. While 2 grand juries declined to indict him, he has settled the majority of the civil lawsuits. The NFL also suspended Watson for the first 11 games of the 2022 season and fined him $5 million for violating the league's personal conduct policy. On the football front, Watson's future with the Browns has been somewhat uncertain recently due to a recurring Achilles tendon injury. He may potentially miss the entire 2025 season after rupturing it for the second time in just 3 months back in January. This injury initially occurred in October 2024. The Browns have been making moves to ensure financial flexibility, reworking Watson's contract twice in the past 3 months. They also have insurance that could provide some cap relief if Watson is indeed sidelined for the 2025 season. Since being traded to the Browns and signing a fully guaranteed $230 million contract, Watson has only played in 19 games, with his appearances limited by injuries. Interestingly, despite Watson's status, the Browns have been actively exploring their quarterback options, recently hosting draft prospects and acquiring Kenny Pickett in a trade. They also hosted free agent Russell Wilson for a visit. For now, however, the focus is on the happy occasion of Deshaun Watson and Jilly Anais' engagement. We extend our congratulations to the couple on this exciting news. Cleveland Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson has some exciting personal news to share. He's engaged to be married to his longtime girlfriend, Jilly Anais. The couple announced their engagement on Sunday, with Anais posting a photo on Instagram with the caption, "Mrs. Watson loading," showcasing a beautiful diamond ring. While Anais shared her excitement with a longer message, Watson kept his reaction brief and to the point. He took to Instagram himself with a two-word message: "More glory, folded hands, medium dark skin tone." This simple yet powerful phrase seems to encapsulate his joy and perhaps a sense of looking forward to a brighter future with Anais. He also referred to Anais as his "queen" on social media. Watson and Anais have been together for several years, and their relationship has been under public scrutiny, especially during the accusations of sexual misconduct against Watson from numerous female massage therapists. Watson was suspended by the NFL for 11 games in 2022 as a result of these accusations. On the football front, Watson's time as the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns appears to be facing uncertainty. He suffered an Achilles injury setback ahead of the 2025 season, which could potentially sideline him for an extended period. Adding to this, the Browns have been actively exploring other quarterback options. They recently traded for Kenny Pickett and are widely expected to consider drafting a quarterback early in the upcoming NFL draft. Former Colorado Buffaloes quarterback Shedeur Sanders is among the names being mentioned as a potential target for Cleveland, while the future of Watson's NFL career with the Browns remains unclear. For now, the focus is on his happy engagement to Jilly Anais. His two-word message, "More glory," suggests he's optimistic and excited about this new chapter in his life. "We extend our congratulations to Deshaun and Jilly on their engagement." The Aaron Rodgers free agency saga continues, and a new report suggests the Pittsburgh Steelers might be exactly where Rodgers wants them, waiting. This opinion piece argues that Rodgers, known for his strategic approach to his career moves, is keeping the Steelers on the hook, much like he did with the Green Bay Packers and the New York Jets in the past. The author points out that the Steelers are in a somewhat desperate situation at quarterback, especially after Justin Fields signed with another team, potentially limiting their options. General manager Omar Khan might be feeling the pressure, and Rodgers, with his veteran experience and high profile, could be an attractive, albeit potentially complicated, solution. The report mentions that the Minnesota Vikings are also showing interest in Rodgers, and the New York Giants have reportedly put a 2-year, $90 million offer on the table. While the specifics of what the Steelers have offered are unknown, it's speculated to be in a similar ballpark to the Giants' deal, with the main sticking point potentially being guaranteed money, something the Steelers are historically cautious with. The big question on the minds of Steelers fans and the media is whether signing Aaron Rodgers is truly worth it. The article delves into Rodgers' performance in his first season with the Jets after recovering from a torn Achilles. He put up solid numbers, completing 63% of his passes for nearly 3.900 yards, with 28 touchdowns and 11 interceptions. However, his ranking in a specific quarterback metric placed him in the middle of the pack. While Rodgers might still have the talent to potentially lead the Steelers to the playoffs, and perhaps even further than they've gone in recent years, the author raises concerns about the potential distractions that Rodgers' presence could bring to the team and the locker room. Rodgers' future, as it has been for some time, remains a dominant storyline in the NFL, and this will likely continue until he finally makes his decision. The Steelers, along with other interested teams, are seemingly left to wait and see what the future holds for the veteran quarterback. Whether his talent outweighs the potential complications remains a key question for Pittsburgh as they navigate their quarterback situation. The Aaron Rodgers free agency saga continues to deliver twists and turns, with a fresh report suggesting the four-time MVP has a specific team in mind: the Minnesota Vikings. According to NFL insider Mike Silver of The Athletic, Rodgers is hoping to land in Minnesota, despite reported offers from the Pittsburgh Steelers and the New York Giants. Silver's report, based on conversations with over a dozen league sources, indicates that Rodgers sees the Vikings as his preferred destination. Minnesota is coming off a strong 14-3 season in 2024. Although they suffered an early playoff exit against the Los Angeles Rams, the Vikings recently saw their 2024 starting quarterback, Sam Darnold, sign a lucrative 3-year deal with the Seattle Seahawks, potentially creating an opening for a veteran like Rodgers. Silver suggests the Vikings are seriously considering pursuing Rodgers to fill that void. However, This report is countered by ESPN's Adam Schefter, who maintains that the Vikings are committed to their young quarterback, J.J. McCarthy. McCarthy, who was drafted 10th overall in the 2024 NFL Draft, unfortunately missed his entire rookie season due to a preseason injury. Despite this setback, Schefter reports that the Vikings intend to roll with him in the upcoming season and that there's no evidence of their interest in bringing in Aaron Rodgers. Schefter did acknowledge the fluid nature of NFL free agency, leaving a sliver of possibility open. So, we have a situation where a respected NFL insider reports Rodgers wants to be a Viking, while another equally respected insider says the Vikings are set on their current path with McCarthy. This creates a significant level of uncertainty surrounding Rodgers' next move. Do the Vikings secretly harbor an interest in the veteran quarterback? Or is Rodgers' hope of joining Minnesota unlikely to materialize? With offers reportedly on the table from the Steelers and Giants, Rodgers has options, but his preferred destination remains a key question mark in this ongoing NFL offseason drama. The New York Giants are actively seeking a quarterback solution for the upcoming season, and their interest in veteran Aaron Rodgers has been well documented. However, the Giants find themselves in a waiting game as Rodgers reportedly has his sights set elsewhere. According to a new report from The Athletic, Aaron Rodgers is hoping to sign with the Minnesota Vikings. The report suggests that the former Packers and Jets quarterback is keen on a return to the NFC North. The Vikings are reportedly considering pursuing Rodgers as a potential replacement for their former starter, Sam Darnold, who recently signed with the Seattle Seahawks. Interestingly, the Vikings also have young quarterback J.J. McCarthy, a high draft pick from last year who missed his rookie season due to injury. Waiting in the wings, the report indicates that any move by the Vikings to sign Rodgers would ultimately need the approval of their head coach, Kevin O'Connell, meaning Rodgers is essentially waiting to see if O'Connell gives the green light. The report also mentions that Rodgers is looking for a contract with an annual salary in the same range as the 3-year, $100 million deal that Sam Darnold signed with the Seahawks. While the Giants are waiting on Rodgers, they aren't putting all their eggs in one basket. They've been actively exploring other quarterback options, including hosting veteran Russell Wilson for a visit and also meeting with former Super Bowl winner and one-time Jets quarterback Joe Flacco. The situation leaves the Giants in a somewhat precarious position. They are clearly interested in Rodgers, but his preference appears to be the Vikings. As they wait for clarity on Rodgers' situation, they are also diligently exploring other avenues to ensure they have a solid quarterback plan for the upcoming NFL season. The coming days and weeks will likely be crucial in determining where Aaron Rodgers lands and what the Giants' quarterback room will ultimately look like. The New York Giants are in a familiar position this offseason, waiting for Aaron Rodgers. While they've reportedly held visits with veteran quarterbacks like Joe Flacco and Russell Wilson, their quarterback plans seem to heavily hinge on the decision of the future Hall of Famer. However, a new report suggests the Giants might be waiting in vain. According to Diana Rossini of The Athletic, Aaron Rodgers' preferred destination is the Minnesota Vikings. The level of the Vikings' interest in Rodgers remains unclear, with conflicting reports suggesting either strong interest or none at all. Regardless of the Vikings' intentions, the Giants and their general manager Joe Schoen are essentially at Rodgers' mercy. And the latest news could spell even more trouble for them. Rossini reports that if the Vikings don't end up signing him, Rodgers might choose to retire from the NFL altogether, rather than play for either the Giants or the Pittsburgh Steelers, both of whom have been pursuing him. This would put the Giants in a very precarious situation. They've been targeting Rodgers, who was reportedly their plan B behind the now-signed Matthew Stafford, according to the article's internal context. Though not explicitly stated in the provided text, if Rodgers chooses retirement, the Giants would be forced to quickly pivot to their Plan C in free agency and potentially their Plan B in the upcoming NFL Draft. With time ticking away, and other quarterback options potentially becoming unavailable, the possibility of Rodgers retiring and leaving the Giants without their targeted veteran quarterback could be a significant setback for a team looking to solidify their future under center. The Giants' patience in waiting for Rodgers might ultimately lead to a difficult situation if his preferred scenario doesn't materialize and he opts to walk away from the game. The Pittsburgh Steelers made a significant move this week by trading for star wide receiver DK Metcalf from the Seattle Seahawks. This acquisition is seen by many as a potentially game-changing move for the Steelers' offense, especially depending on the quarterback situation. After the trade became official, Metcalf spoke with Steelers.com reporter Missy Matthews about the initial welcome he received from his new teammates. Metcalf specifically mentioned 3 players who reached out to him: veteran defensive lineman Cam Hayward, tight end Pat Freiermuth, and fellow wide receiver Calvin Austin. He shared that these players expressed their excitement about him joining the team, and Metcalf echoed those sentiments, stating his eagerness to get to know everyone. However, one notable name was absent from Metcalf's list of welcoming teammates: George Pickens. Pickens is currently the most veteran receiver on the Steelers roster. The article points out that aside from the starting quarterback, a strong working relationship between Metcalf and Pickens will be crucial for the Steelers' success. A simple text message or phone call from Pickens to welcome his new teammate would have been considered the standard and appropriate gesture. The author of the article suggests that while it's still very early in the offseason and it might be premature to jump to conclusions, Pickens' apparent silence isn't exactly the ideal way for this new player-teammate dynamic to begin. Establishing a positive and collaborative environment in the wide receiver room is essential for any team looking to contend. And the relationship between your top receiving threats is particularly important. It remains to be seen if this is simply an oversight or if there might be any underlying issues. However, the fact that Pickens wasn't among the first to welcome a player of Metcalf's caliber to the team is certainly something that will be worth keeping an eye on as the Steelers head into the offseason and prepare for the upcoming season. A strong and unified receiving core will be vital for the Steelers as they aim to make a deeper playoff run. Colin Cowherd, known for his unfiltered opinions, has released his 2025 NFL standings predictions, and Pittsburgh Steelers fans might not like what he has to say. Cowherd predicts the Steelers will finish third in the highly competitive AFC North, behind the Baltimore Ravens and the Cincinnati Bengals. According to Cowherd, this prediction holds true regardless of whether or not Aaron Rodgers ends up signing with the Steelers. He argues that the Steelers are fundamentally tone-deaf offensively and have consistently struggled late in the season over the past 5 years. A significant part of Cowherd's criticism is directed at Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin. Cowherd believes that Tomlin has failed to adapt to the evolving NFL landscape and remains too conservative in his coaching approach to be truly competitive in today's league. As a result, Cowherd doesn't foresee the Steelers' offense operating much differently, no matter which quarterback is under center. While Cowherd acknowledges that the Steelers might be able to sneak into the playoffs as a wildcard team, he believes the lack of creativity from offensive coordinator Arthur Smith will ultimately hold them back from making a deeper run. The only potential game-changer, in Cowherd's eyes, is if Aaron Rodgers were to join the Steelers in a focused and healthy state and essentially take over the offensive play calling, effectively overriding both Tomlin and Smith. Cowherd admits that this scenario, while not entirely impossible, requires several factors to align perfectly. Ultimately, Colin Cowherd's prediction paints a rather bleak picture for the Pittsburgh Steelers in the 2025 season, suggesting they will once again fall short of truly contending in the AFC North unless a very specific and perhaps unlikely set of circumstances involving Aaron Rodgers comes to fruition. Steelers fans will undoubtedly be hoping Cowherd's prediction proves to be inaccurate.